Welcome. Today we're going to talk about Subprime Attention Crisis by Hwang, I guess we'll say, Hwang, which is about the internet and its plumbing and how it works and why he thinks the whole ad industry is a like the subprime mortgage crisis. Before we get into that book, though, let's talk about two ways to support the channel. Number one is to go to patreon.com/Curtis McHale, support the channel. Number two is to go to curtismchale.ca/Skillshare, where you can join Skillshare, take one of my courses, like my one on time blocking, which you can actually find at curtismchale.ca/skilltime. Buckle up, subprime attention crisis. Now, one of the key, starting points in this book is to recognize the plumbing of the internet, or how we finance a lot of the internet. And that is through real-time bidding platforms. This is AdSense. This is the ads you literally see on my videos sometimes. Unless you happen to be they don't call it Prime, YouTube Premium member, in which case I get a portion of your fees to YouTube every month. Now, I said this back in 2012, actually, that if you are not paying for a product, you are the product. So your attention is the product. Right? This is true in Twitter, this is true in Facebook, this is true in YouTube, unless you're a paying subscriber, that what is monetized is you and your attention. And this is how Google finances its search. This is how it finances Gmail. This is how it finances everything it does, is via real-time bidding, via AdSense. So that is really what Hwang says is a subprime crisis. It's just a bubble waiting to explode, that he says later on in the book we need to deflate slowly if we want to not have a collapse. One of the second things is what he says are the components of a bubble, just in general, not necessarily the internet bubble, but a bubble in general. Now he says, unlike some older forms of advertising like billboards or radio, stuff like that, you can actually measure ads online because you can track a user. You can say this user saw this ad, they clicked on it, then they made a purchase. There is some real-time tracking in here. That's what they say, at least. He's not 100% convinced that there really is real-time tracking, or not to the level that they are trying to tell us there is, they being the ad companies, Facebook, Google. But there is some component of tracking there. Now, the parts that make up a bubble, let's say first, is the algorithm. It's so big, it's so vast, there's no one person that understands how it works. You cannot ask one person, say, why did this ad get shown to this person at this time on this site? They'll go, I don't know, the algorithm did it? That's it. So it's something that we can't understand, which when you can't understand it, it just helps inflate pricing. Number two, there are dark markets that drive up prices. This is special ad networks that you can only get if you are, say, a certain tier of person, a certain site. That's the only way you can get it. These dark markets drive up the pricing on there. Third, there's the intermediaries of Facebook and Google. They control the markets and can do whatever they want. A great, kind of look at this is Facebook when it said, hey, everybody do video. It's really important. And then we found out they totally inflated the numbers and it wasn't nearly important. And entire businesses died because Facebook lied. That's it. They lied. They crushed businesses. Because that's what they can do. Because what are you going to do, right? I mean, even AdSense, there's over and over and over, there's stories of YouTubers losing their channel for no reason they can tell, and YouTube being essentially indifferent unless you are big enough to warrant some attention. If you're big enough to warrant some attention, then great, they'll help you out, but that's it. If something happened to my channel, it would just be gone. That's it. I would have no recourse, basically. They wouldn't listen to me. I'm not a big enough creator for them to care, because I wouldn't have the audience of people being a pain in the ass. Finally, the market is like a flywheel, right? As more attention goes online, it gets easier to sell ads because people say, hey, it's a big risk to not capture that online attention, so why would I spend my ad dollars elsewhere? And then thus traditional ads are sold, so the publications that sell traditional ads are shut down. So it's like a flywheel. It just keeps building and building and building, and that's kind of the components of the bubble. Now, he says to explode the bubble, first off, the bubble relies on an invasion of user privacy, which is referred to as surveillance capitalism in lots of spots. There's actually a book out there called Surveillance Capitalism. It's on my list for the future. I do not own it yet. Now, as more and more users notice this trade-off, they are increasingly using ad blockers. They're using other methods to block, say, the super cookies that Facebook puts out. And this starts to mean that the tracking is less accurate. Thus, we're kind of like ready to pop the bubble there as the attention goes away and as people feel violated for losing their identity, their information. Another bad thing that could explode the bubble or contribute to it is that the bubble, or the way we finance the internet, limits the type of products that we even get. If you can't monetize, you can't figure out how to collect data, is a big thing. If you can't figure out how to collect data then on users and sell it to other people, then it's hard to justify the product. So you need to start collecting data. And we see this with, I feel like we've seen this with a bunch of products that they didn't collect data and suddenly you find it, oh, they are now. And they're selling it to strategic partners only. But eventually it just means they're selling it to every single person out there. Now, the big danger, Hwang says, about popping the bubble is that it will deprive resources to people. So lots of people have Gmail addresses. If Google can no longer sell ads, if this whole thing pops and they're just drastically lose their value, ads do, then they cannot provide Gmail for free. People will have to start paying for their email, or they'll be at the victim. They'll be there to be victimized by their ISPs, right? Which I know in the US they often are, anyways. At least in internet prices, but it'll be down to your email and what email do they let you on, right? Might even be back to the AOL days where you have to be on AOL's network. What Hwang suggests here is a government agency, kind of like the Securities and Exchange Commission, that allows kind of good regulation of it to help slowly deflate the bubble so that we can not have it, so that we can get a different internet than we have today. I'm not sure about that. That's a very US-centric thing. I guess a lot of these companies are in the US, but then China's huge too. And they're not going to say we're not collecting data, or you better not collect data, because they want the data. So I'm just not sure how viable that is long term. Yeah. And then that might even leave two-tier system where the US has all this, Securities and Exchange Commission, whatever it's really called, this privacy stuff that helps deflate the bubble, and the rest of the world is still living in the bubble. So it'd be like a two-tiered society again. People would have and have not the services we have online. Now, should you read Subprime Attention Crisis by Tim Hwang? I don't know. It was an interesting book, but it wasn't amazing. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't amazing, though. I think that if you're really interested in the ad market and the idea of this subprime bubble in ads, then sure. If you're looking for more of a personal book, how do I stop myself from, sticking with social media, getting my attention sold, then this isn't the book for you. There's other books that are there that are better. Say Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, or How to Do Nothing by Jenny Odell. Both, I like Digital Minimalism better, but both good books depending on where you're coming from. That's it. If you liked the video today, thumbs up below. If you loved it, you can give me subscribe and then hit the bell, because maybe YouTube will let you know what happens, but who knows. Otherwise, you can support the channel by going to patreon.com/CurtisMcHale, support the channel, or by going to curtismchale.ca/Skillshare. Take one of my courses on time blocking, or on how to use TickTick to get your day going. Have an awesome day.